This is pretty cool. So, a few days ago, astronomers discovered a new interstellar object. They're calling it Comet 3I Atlas, and it has a fascinating flight path. I'm going to share it with you in a minute. When you look at the telescope footage, the way that it moves, like I was questioning, could this be an artificial craft of some type? Now, we don't have any guarantees on that, but it is quite compelling. And it's fun to think about regardless. I hope you're having a beautiful day. So I'm going to show you the orbit. We're going to see what it looks like. We're going to talk about it. And in unfortunate news, this flooding that is going on here seems to be like the new norm after Texas, now Ruidoso, New Mexico. Listen to this. The village of Ruidoso, New Mexico, experienced a historic and catastrophic flood July 8th, and a heavy monsoon. So they say heavy monsoon rains fell on wildfire burn scars from the 2024 South Fork and salt fires, making the area vulnerable to flooding. There's actually a video showing this house being swept away by the floods. And the Rio Ruidoso River reached historic levels, rising to 20 feet, breaking the previous record of 15 feet that was set in 2024. Tragically, 3 people, including 2 children, died in the floodwaters. Initial assessments suggest 35 to 50 plus homes were damaged or destroyed. There was an estimated 65 water rescues. Way to go on that. With emergency crews saving people from vehicles, trees, and flooded homes. And roads throughout the village are closed and will remain so until damage assessments and inspections are completed. The village of Ruidoso is actively engaged in recovery efforts and providing resources for residents, including a disaster recovery center and grants. A temporary shelter has been set up by a Ruidoso Community Center for displaced residents. And New Mexico Governor Michelle Grisham issued an emergency declaration to mobilize state and potentially federal resources. Ruidoso also experienced severe flooding following the 2024 fires around this time last year. The village has been engaged in recovery and infrastructure hardening efforts since then. And as of July 9th, Ruidoso is still recovering from the flash floods. Officials are working to assess the damage, restore power and water, and provide assistance to those affected. So may the force be with you. Godspeed. Wow, just horrific, the extreme weather that we're dealing with lately, especially Texas. I mean, Texas just got hammered. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, I want to show you the video footage, the telescope footage, and the orbit of this new interstellar object. Let's talk about it. And before we get into that, I did want to let you know that if you are looking for ways to protect yourself, your family, from potentially harmful EMF radiation, if you go to tinfoilcap.co, you can get the best gear available that blocks EMF radiation all the way up to 5G, your router, your phone. We even have Faraday cages for your phone. We have liners for your hats and your clothes that will block EMF radiation. So check it out, tinfoilcap.co. tinfoilcap.co, EMF protection from head to toe. And check us out over on Patreon. I just uploaded an exclusive video on Patreon, and we are talking about some different programs that have been in play for decades for manipulation of the weather. There's a lot of speculation and disinformation on the web right now about weather modification programs. So we're going to look at least what's available technologically speaking to the public. We're going to talk about it. A lot of disinformation out there. So definitely jump on over to our Patreon page and let's get into this. Let's go. So first this is from the European Southern Observatory. Share the screen with you. Oh yeah, what are you doing today? Anything exciting? Check this out. This is a time lapse of 3I Atlas, the new interstellar object. ESO's Very Large Telescope, the VLT, has obtained new images of 3I Atlas, an interstellar object discovered last week, identified as Comet 3I Atlas. It's only the third visitor from outside the solar system ever found. Oumuamua. Remember the images of Oumuamua that they showed us? It looked like a flying space turd. Well, this one's even more intense. The VLT time lapse you're looking at right here, seen moving to the right over the course of about 13 minutes. That little dot right there, and the data was obtained with the 4S2 instrument of the VLT on the night of July 3rd. 2 days after the comet was first discovered, the data was made immediately public through the ESO archive. That doesn't look like a flying space turret to me, although it is pretty far out. At the end of the video, we see all frames stacked into a single image, the deepest and best to date we have of this foreign object. This record won't hold for long, though, because the comet is getting closer to Earth and becoming less faint. Currently, more than 600 million kilometers away from the sun. 3I Atlas is traveling towards the inner solar system, is expected to make its closest approach to Earth in late October. While 3I Atlas will be hiding behind the sun at that point, it will become observable again December of 2025 when it makes its way back to interstellar space. Interesting how all of a sudden we're getting all of these objects appearing in the solar system when we have technology that can pick it up. Like, how many times has this happened in the past? But because we didn't have the technology, we just weren't able to see it. Probably quite a bit. So, this is a diagram from NASA, and it shows the trajectory of the interstellar comet 3I Atlas as it passes through the solar system. It will make its closest approach to the sun in October. The NASA fund, like you can see it moving right here. Let's take a look at this. This video footage cost over $100 million. I'm joking. I don't know how much it cost, but it wasn't cheap. The animation shows the observations of Comet 3I Atlas. Zoom out here. Now, it got its name. The I stands for interstellar. 3 stands for the third time an interstellar object has been discovered in our solar system. Credit University of Hawaii, NASA. Interstellar object zipping through our solar system, and it's smoking fast. This thing is cruising. Well, thank you for the information, sir. You have a beautiful day. 3I Atlas formed in another star system and was somehow ejected into interstellar space. That, in and of itself, is bizarre. For millions, possibly billions of years, they say, it has drifted until it recently arrived in our solar system. How do they know that? I don't know. It has been approaching from the general direction of the constellation Sagittarius, which is where the central region of our galaxy, the Milky Way, is located. When discovered, 3I Atlas was about 410 million miles away from the sun within the orbit of Jupiter. Observations of the comet trajectory show that it's moving too to be bound by the sun's gravity, and that it's on what is known as a hyperbolic trajectory. So, in other words, it does not follow a closed orbital path around the sun. It's simply passing through our solar system and will continue its journey into interstellar space, never to be seen again. This is the third known interstellar object to have been discovered, or observed, I should say. Oumuamua, first discovered in 2017. And then the second was 2I Borisov, was discovered in 2019. Now, astronomers don't exactly know how big 3I Atlas is, but from observations, they can see that it's active, and they say it has an icy nucleus and coma, which is a bright cloud of gas and dust surrounding the comet as it approaches the sun. This is why astronomers categorize it as a comet and not an asteroid or a flying saucer. So it is moving at, listen to this, when it was first discovered, the interstellar object was traveling at 137,000 miles an hour. Whoa. And its speed will increase as it approaches the sun. 137,000 miles an hour. Remarkable. Although the trajectory of the object brings it into the inner solar system, it won't come close to Earth, they say. As Comet 3I Atlas journeys through the solar system, it will it won't come closer, nanu, than about 1.6 astronomical units to our planet, which is about 150 million miles. So there you go. Look at all these dots. Look at all these dots. And somehow they managed to find this one dot moving at a very peculiar pace, 137,000 miles an hour. I mean, it's pretty remarkable what they can do with technology, isn't it? So that's pretty cool. Let's take a look at this, see if we can get any more information. Yeah, look at this. There it goes. It's a giant Buga-sphere. It's the mothership sphere, where all the other smaller metallic alien spheres come from. Look at this. Cool, right? You can see that little dot 400 million miles away move at 137,000 miles an hour. We're pretty cool. That's how we roll. We know about this stuff. Okay, so anyway, let's jump to the next article again here real quick. So it's terrible what happened in Rio Doso. It's a beautiful, beautiful mountain town. I really like it out there. I don't know if you've ever been, but God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. God bless all of you out there, and may the force be with you. And also, may the force be with you, and God bless you, and Godspeed for those that are dealing with the aftermath of the Texas Hill Country flooding. I've been close to that area. When I used to live in San Antonio, I would go biking quite a bit out in hill country. There's one road out there called the Triple Sisters because it has three really cool hills. I think it's off of 337. This is further northwest, but absolutely terrible what happened out there. And with the extreme weather that the planet is dealing with, we can speculate what it's from. There's a lot of stuff going around on the internet, a lot of disinformation going around on the internet. And I talk about that on Patreon. But what I am wondering is these floods. So if you go back to 1987, it wasn't as extreme, but a devastating flood in pretty much the same area happened back in 87. July of 87. And it particularly impacted the Guadalupe River and surrounding areas, kind of like what happened with this event. It was between the 16th and the 17th of July. Slow moving thunderstorms caused intense rainfall, 5 to 10 inches in the upper Guadalupe River basin during the late evening of July 16th, resulting in a rapid surge of water downstream. The flood wave traveled through Ingram, Kerrville, Comfort, Texas. A group of campers from the Pot of Gold Christian Camp near Comfort were attempting to evacuate in buses and a van when a sudden surge of floodwaters swept them away. Absolutely terrible. 10 teenagers tragically drowned. The 1987 flood is considered a significant flood in the Hill Country's history of flash flooding, highlighting the dangers of the region known as Flash Flood Alley. Wow, that's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Now, I want to thank the heroes that helped save people back in 87. And also I want to thank the heroes that helped save people during the floods that just happened. There was one report where I think it was a Coast Guard member, somebody in the military had rescued hundreds of people. And I'll look at that again in a minute, read a little bit of good news because the world needs it and Texas needs it. So the Guadalupe River rose rapidly, reaching 36 feet in height in Kerrville, 37 and a half feet in Hunt, Texas, setting records at some of the gauge sites. The region is known as Flash Flood Alley, according to the Texas Tribune, and the area is particularly susceptible to flash floods due to its unique combination of weather patterns and geology. Heavy rainfall, the dry air from the north and warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico. And the convergence of these air masses can lead to intense and prolonged rainstorms. The limestone and granite bedrock in the hill country, coupled with steep hills and the Balkans escarpment, prevent rainwater from easily soaking into the ground. This leads to rapid runoff into rivers and creeks, quickly raising water levels and increasing the risk of flash flooding. So there's been devastating floods in 87 in hill country as well as 1998. So this isn't the first time, folks. Although the recent events here in July have been the worst in the region's history that we know about. When I was in San Antonio, I can tell you this, like they had areas that said, if this is flooding, do not drive through here. And people would do it anyway. And it was a bad idea. It's a bad idea for those people because a lot of times they ended up getting stuck or worse. But the amount of rain that fell on Texas recently, like it would be very, very, very difficult, at least with the public technology that we know about, to create something like that. Most likely it is from natural circumstances, extreme natural circumstances, because the world is going through some pretty extreme measures right now with the magnetosphere, the wandering magnetic poles. There's a lot of speculation of the potential for there being some type of like binary star out there that we don't see, like a dark star that some people have labeled Planet 9 or Planet X or Nemesis or Nibiru. I mean, they all have different characteristics if you read about them. Like if you read about Nibiru and Zecharia Sitchin's theory of a 3,600-year orbit, there isn't any scientific data that I can find that verifies an incoming planet of every 3,600 years. Then you've got the Brown and Badajian discussion of the Planet 9 theory, which is causing these planetoids in the Kuiper Belt to clump together, the Oort cloud, some interesting magnetic anomalies out there that, based upon Badajian and Brown's data and computer simulations, suggest that there is a planet out there about the mass of Jupiter. I'm wondering if there is a planetary body out there, is it a planet or is it a dark star? And would a dark star being that distant in the soul, that far out, would it affect our planet? Would it affect our sun that we see every day magnificently? I don't know. But I find it interesting because when you do the research, so the magnetic poles have been moving in a very bizarre fashion for the past 100 and something years. Here's a image that shows what it's done since like 1590 and how it's moved since almost the year 1600. This is a video showing how the poles have moved over the past few hundred years, starting in 1590, and it will end in 2030. But take a look at this. The poles are the green dots. The green dots are the poles. So just take a quick look at that. Let me zoom that out a little bit. In the past 50 years, they've moved in very bizarre fashion. Could these wandering poles be affected from Planet 9 or a dark star deep in the Kuiper Belt, past the planets? Possibly. Notice how it just moved like the last few years there. Look at that. Watch this. That's wild. Let's watch that again. Very bizarre how it's moved. Let's see if we can zoom out. There we go. Watch this one more time. It's from right here. Go. Strange. But then I was like, let's look up the magnetosphere. The planet's magnetosphere is the region of space dominated by the planet's magnetic field. It's primarily shaped and influenced by the solar winds. The solar wind is a stream of charged particles emitted by the sun, constantly impacting the magnetosphere, compressing it on the side facing the sun, and stretching it into a tail on the opposite side. So it's affected by solar wind. The magnetosphere is affected by solar wind. And then I'm like, okay, so you've got the magnetosphere and the atmosphere. The magnetosphere and atmosphere are distinct but interconnected parts of the Earth's environment. The magnetosphere is a region dominated by the Earth's magnetic field. It acts as a shield, deflecting harmful solar wind particles, while the atmosphere is a layered envelope of gas surrounding the planet. The magnetosphere protects the atmosphere from erosion by solar wind and allows life to exist on Earth by blocking harmful radiation. So that's the difference between, if you didn't know, the magnetosphere and the atmosphere. And stay with me on this because there's a reason I'm bringing this up. Would a second sun change the Earth's magnetosphere? In theory, yes, a second sun would likely impact Earth's magnetosphere, primarily through changes in stellar wind pressure and potentially gravitational effects. The Earth's magnetosphere is a protective bubble generated by the planet's magnetic field. It shields Earth from the solar wind, a stream of charged particles released by the sun. In a two-star system, the combined stellar winds from both stars would interact with Earth's magnetosphere in a more complex way than in a single star system. The severity of these impacts would depend on factors including the mass and activity of the second star, its distance from Earth, and its orbit around the sun. Possible effects could include increased dynamic pressure on the magnetosphere. This could lead to changes in its size and shape, potentially causing more intense space weather events, such as geomagnetic storms. Oh, interesting. These storms can have a devastating impact on Earth if not shielded by the magnetosphere. They can also damage or disable critical spacecraft components. Additionally, they can disrupt communication, navigation, and surveillance systems. In closed binary systems, magnetic interactions between the stars and planets can even influence the planet's magnetic activity. This can lead to effects like flares and spots and affect the planet's irradiation levels and orbital migration, according to ARXIV. While the basic premise of Earth having a magnetosphere might remain, its dynamics and shielding capacity would likely be significantly altered due to the presence and influence of a second sun. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Now, the Planet X theory or the dark star theory, there are many of them, and they're all theories right now. But the term Planet X is used in two contexts: the hypothetical planet in the outer solar system, and the other is a mythical doomsday planet associated with the Nibiru cataclysm. Most likely, Nibiru just means the crossing. Nibiru has been referenced with Jupiter as well as Mercury, but not as a standalone planet unless you take the Zacharias-Sitchin theory. Are there ancient tablets and scriptures that describe it? I don't know, because the only ones that I've found are translated from Zacharias-Sitchin, and I've been studying it for years. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I just don't see the evidence for a 3,600-year Nibiru return of an incoming Planet X. I don't see it. So Planet 9 is definitely a possibility, but we haven't seen it yet. And the new telescope that they just came with online, the observatory, what's it called? The Mario or Ruba. There's a new observatory that just came out that should be able to pick it up if it's out there, but we haven't confirmed it yet, and I will keep you posted. The closest thing that I can find to ancient mythology that talks about a nemesis to the sun is Apophis, and we know about the Apophis, or the asteroid that was recently named Apophis, that is supposed to reach its closest point to Earth, I think 2029, Friday the 13th of all times. And then it's supposed to make another close approach. So is that the same object or the same Apophis that was described in ancient Egypt? I don't know, but it's very interesting. And we will keep you posted. 99942 is Apophis. And at first, when it was first discovered, they thought it was there was a much higher chance of it hitting Earth. Now they've brought that down substantially. I don't know. Let's hope not. Be prepared, not scared. That's what I say. Check us out over on Patreon for exclusive content. Check out tinfoilcap.co. Most importantly, be excellent to each other. Be prepared, not scared, and be the change you want to see. Thanks for watching. I'm Rex Bear.